Hey guys, this is Light, and the RTA season is ending about 3 weeks from now, so the new Fumyr will be the last unit added to the season. And it's been a while since my last tier list, and a lot of things have changed in the meta, so I'll actually be going in depth through most of the units. If this is your first time watching any of my tier lists, I'll explain the tiers real quick. So tier 0 is pretty much the strongest units in the game, the most game warping units out there. A lot of drafts are built around them or built to deal with them. And then we have the S tier. These are just very strong units that are pretty much picked at every game because they're safe, flexible, or they're just really strong. Then we have A tier, which consists of more niche units that you typically pick later in the draft to counter the enemy draft. And then B tier is pretty much like reject units that you pick maybe once in like 100 games. Basically, you can consider the tiers a unit priority list, so yeah, let's get into it. And I know someone's gonna ask, but I typically don't really rank cleave units because like if cleave is good, the units are good. And spoiler, Zeo cleave and Briar cleave are pretty good, unsurprisingly. So yeah, let's get into it. So for tier 0, we have scales. The scales, when you're playing aggressive, is really hard to beat. I still think she is like insanely strong no matter how many counters like Small Gauge tries to put out. I'm sure she'll be broken even if the new Fumyr comes out, because the thing about scales is that if you're fighting scales, you usually have to like outspeed her to beat her. And that's not really practical for most people. And like, you know, skills is just really strong if the other person is playing aggressive. Like skills plus Iseria 3 is basically Exodia, so long as you don't get outspeed and like, you know, counter cleaved or anything like that. Yeah, skills really strong. Definitely the best cleave anchor still. Nothing really holds a candle to her except people who outgear you. And then we have Notos. Notos is probably the most memed on unit, but he's still incredibly hard to fight. He's a little misunderstood, because the thing about Notos is that when you pick Notos, the enemy team has to center their draft around countering him, right? So they have to invest multiple units to beat one unit, and then the rest of your draft can be whatever you want. Like for example, you go Notos and they're like, oh my god, I need to pick Bologna, Estelle, whatever. And that's fine and dandy. But the issue with going like Bologna, Estelle is that like what if the other person goes Tori on 3 and then just beat you down with their Tori? And like they don't need their Notos to do anything. Like that is the power of Notos. He forces you to pick like at least 3 units that have to that are like responding to him, right? And then you get taken advantage of because like, you know, the other person will just like abandon their Notos and beat you up with other stuff. And similarly, same story, like if a cleaver is picking Notos and then they just like cleave you with their openers and whatever after you try to deal with their Notos, like same story, right? Notos, you need too much unit, like actual unit investment to deal with him, and then you lose out on the rest of the draft. He's very difficult to deal with. Unless of course the other person plays slow, then it's a bit more manageable, but of course the speed runs this game. If you're fighting, you know, a fast player who will be aggressive with Notos, it's very difficult. And then we have RNL. RNL is also another memed on unit. This unit is the definition of unfun. She's like a slot machine. If she lands everything, she will just instantly kill you. If she gets 15%ed, she doesn't do anything. But if you soul burn her, she will instantly kill you, guaranteed. But a lot of times people don't get to soul burn her, they just rip it, and then, you know, a lot of bad things can happen to them. Like they can get 15%ed, you could have Setsuka and they just, you know, they just miss on you. But if they don't miss on you, they don't get 15%ed, they land all their defense breaks, their debuffs, you are just dead. And she's also the fastest unit in the game, so it deters any kind of like, you know, potential aggro unless you have like a 330 Rinak because you're a little pig or something. And then, you know, yeah, like if someone picks RNL, you automatically cannot aggro them anymore because they have the fastest unit in the game who is very hard to kill, and also, you know, they also have a lot of synergy with cleave units. So yeah, when RNL is picked, you lose the ability to aggro, but the other person gets to aggro you for free. But you can also just build all your units ER to try to resist her S2, which is what I am doing. But like the fact that a unit is making me rebuild my entire account just so I don't have to ban them, like easy tier 0, right? The unit is insane. She doesn't have to be top speed. Most cleavers make her slower than their top speed opener. Like for example, 320 Iseria into 310 RNL. If you picked a unit to counter the RNL, well, tough luck. The Iseria is going first and murdering you. Like for example, you see RNL, you pick Bunny Dom. Boom, they pick Iseria, who is faster than their RNL. Your Bunny Dom is useless because you're getting defense broken. Bunny Dom does nothing. GG. With that said, RNL completely broken. Super high roll. Feels bad to fight, feels bad to play because of RNG, but she is without a doubt completely game breaking. Cause like, you know, people will high roll more often than not, but it's a huge pain. And then we have Arunka. Arunka is still really strong. She enables the most boring but also a very strong playstyle. Like you just play like Yulha and then Aria 3, or you can play, you know, Photogenic Thief on 3, and then like, you know, the other person can't target your unit, and then you give them aids, you just one shot their team, they can't do anything because of Arunka standing in front of you. Yeah, Arunka's just really annoying. You know, she's just very core for the protect carry drafts. And yeah. And I know the new Fumyr is supposed to delete her, but like the thing about these units is that they also get exponentially stronger based on what's pre-banned. For example, if you pre-ban skills and Notos, Arunka is insane. And like, what if like skills is gone, Notos is gone, and then someone pre-bans Fumyr, and then they get to play Arunka for free? Well, that's pretty ridiculous, right? Yeah, Arunka's still insanely strong, unfortunately. As long as there are super strong carries, Arunka will always be really strong because she's the best way to protect them. And we have Biblas. Biblas still insane. She's still you know, the most defensive unit in the game. The most like, she's just resistant to nonsense, right? She's very tanky, she'll cleanse her team. You can build her ER and stuff. She's like a minefield to work around. She can instantly win the game if she 15% some debuff. She's really cringe, really strong, really solid. Yeah, easy tier 0. And then we have the new Fumyr. This is my preliminary ranking of her. I know a lot of people will disagree, but I think a 124 base speed unit that can just unconditionally delete one unit on your team is a little absurd. And realistically, the only counterplay is like outspeeding and cleaving her, right? But what if you're slower? You're just gonna fight the game 3v4 because this unit is so fast. And I think they forgot about the counterplay. Because like her S3 like alludes to the fact that, you know, if you kill her, then you get your unit back. But why does she get stealth and everything? That's gonna make it a bit hard to kill her, you know. But and you're also down a unit. But yeah, that's my prediction. Cause like and also you have to imagine, like, she's also a mage, right? Like, imagine someone has like a 330 RNL, they have a 320 Fumyr, and then the Fumyr hold the book for their RNL. RNL delete the unit with her soul burn, and then Fumyr goes and delete another unit, and then you're fighting a 2v4. Like, how in the world is that winnable? And the worst part is, the unit that gets like S3'd by Fumyr, you can't even revive them or anything. Like Fumyr, if Fumyr does worse than just like deleting them, like you can't even revive them. Like they're just in limbo until Fumyr dies. Which is a little absurd to me. But I could be wrong. This is just my preliminary prediction. I know there are plenty of people who will disagree, but I don't care. They're just engagement baiters. Whatever. Anyway, that's my opinion. I think she'll be very, very strong. But unfortunately, she has nothing to protect herself besides taking the first turn. So yeah, you can just cleave her if that's your thing. Not a valid counterplay, by the way. But anyway, yeah, that's it for tier 0. And then we have the S tier units. A lot here has changed. Wait, I'll talk about the newest unit. Ludwig is really annoying. He's a very cheesy unit. There's a lot you can do with him. You can play Oria's Belian and then protect your Ludwig on 3 and hope he kills everybody. Which he has potential to unless they stack a lot of revivers. But Ludwig S3 has buff block, so he's actually like, you know, decently good against them. But I put him S tier because of his flexibility. Like he's a pretty good unit for Zeo Cleave. He's a pretty good like standalone damage dealer if you set him up. Also he kind of counters a lot of meta units, right? He can kind of beat up Tori, he can kind of beat up Frieren if you have turn priority. He can kind of beat up RNL if you don't die to her. He has a lot of potential. And there are a lot of annoying drafts going on right now. Like there's like ER Ludwig, there's Guiding Light Ludwig, there is there's people, you know, early picking Belian to play Ludwig. He's just really, really annoying right now. It might be because he's a new unit, but he is pretty difficult to deal with. But yeah, he is pretty decent. Then we have Aria. Aria is a premier DPS this season. Aria plus Yulha is really strong against anything that's not Aruna pretty much. You superhuman your Aria. She has Thorn's artifact. She soul burn S3s, S1, soul burn S3 again, and 3 units are dead usually. It is a very strong combo. It's very debuff resistant, and you know it's also very tanky. It has a reviver. So yeah, very strong this season. And Yulha is just solid overall. You know, she's a reviver. She enables Yulha. She's debuff resistant, she's tanky, she's all that. She is very solid. And then we have Ruele. Ruele is also still really strong this season. She's the most resistant to death unit. However, I feel like Ruele, if Harsetti is pre-banned, you can't pick Ruele early anymore. Like Ruele 1-2 kind of blows. Because Cleave is like way stronger with RNL and Ludwig and everything. Like, if you pick Ruele 1-2, you're probably gonna die, but otherwise in like slower games it's fine. She's still nonsense. And she protects your team really well, or she protects one unit really well, keeps them alive, and then they just kill everything usually. And like, of course it's very hard to deal with her. Cause like, you had to double kill her with soul burn or something, but it's yeah, it's difficult. It's very solid unit. Also naturally debuff resistant because if you kill her, she cleanses and pushes herself. So yeah, really solid unit for the season still. Then we have Frieren. Frieren's also really strong. I think she is slightly weaker though because of Ludwig. If someone goes like Ludwig Belian, you can forget about playing Frieren unless you can cleave them. But usually they'll have RNL as well. Like Frieren's just way harder to play because like there's a lot more things threatening her, especially like RNL first pick. Like for example, if someone picks RNL, you are already unable to like go like Omid or something last because the RNL is just gonna kill your units. So yeah, Frieren was really strong because, you know, you could always pick opener last with her and enable them, but now with the existence of RNL, it's pretty hard to do that unless you just ban her. which isn't a bad idea. RNL is very annoying. Then we have Rinak. But Rinak is Rinak. She's still a very viable damage dealer. She has a positive matchup into Celine, Tori, Frieren, kind of. Yeah, she's decent. She's decent. However, she does struggle a lot against stuff like Estelle and Arowell, unless like you have summer photogenic. A lot of Koreans are like cleaving with multiple photos, and they go like photo RB, photo Rinak and stuff. She's still a solid unit, and also she's really good because like a lot of people don't put their top speed on RNL, so like if you're really fast, you can probably just race every RNL with Rinak and just kill them. So for that reason, Rinak is still pretty good, because like, you know, gearing an RNL faster than Rinak is pretty hard, because Rinak has no gear requirements. The only thing she needs is speed, and then she'll kill stuff. But RNL needs actual stats. So naturally, Rinak should be faster if you put your top speed on her. Like even my Rinak, like what? My Rinak's like 322 and my RNL is 320. Like, you know, technically, you should make her favored, but yeah, Rinak is solid. And anyway, so next we have Spirit Eye Celine. This unit is pretty crazy this season. She is insanely OP with Aruna, but you need a different build. So this season, everything is way tankier. So naturally, you just need to do more damage. And the way you do that is by building your units slower with more damage. So I know like the standard Celine build used to be like 280 speed, but no, we're not doing that anymore. The go-to Celine build is like nuclear damage. Like you want to be slow, you want to have big damage. I'm talking about like 4k 350. I'm talking about better than 4k 350. Like you want to be like 230, 240, and then like 4k 350 minimum. And then yeah, and then your initial soul burn S1 will do tons of damage. And also, Celine has a very toxic interaction with Salome, where if Salome clones Celine before Celine uses her soul burn, Salome gets her soul burn. That is big damage, and Celine still keeps hers. So yeah, a lot of people pick Celine, Salome, Aruna, and then you just like soul burn after cloning Celine. You do nuclear damage and you can one-shot a lot of stuff. And because of this, I actually have like a magic number build for a lot of my units where I need them to be like a minimum bulk to not get one shot by Celine. But that's that is her pressure on the meta. She's really strong. Mostly because of Aruna and Salome though. And then we have Tori. Tori is up here because because of Estelle. Estelle mitigates so much, and sometimes the only answer to her is playing photo thieves, and Tori is one of the like one of the only viable photo thieves right now. Like Celine is one of them, RB is one of them, Tori is also one of them. Like Tori can just like, you know, one shot Estelle's units through her mitigation if she has photo, which is really nice. And Tori is also immune to debuffs on turn 1. Which means it's easier for her to get a little bit of value, guaranteed. So yeah, solid unit. It's basically the same thing as Celine. You get a turn, you one-shot something, and then you ride the momentum to win. Then we have Estelle. Estelle is a creature. She's insane mitigation. However, RGB Frenzy also makes her really like way stronger, but also she does have decent counterplay. She's particularly weak to Mort because if Estelle can't counterattack, she doesn't really do anything. She's weak to Photogenic because, you know, you can't mitigate. But she's still really annoying. Like the guaranteed counterattacks are ridiculous, especially when you pair Estelle with really squishy units, right? Doing 20% of Frieren's health when you have Estelle, like you only have to do like 1400 damage to her, and then Estelle will smack you with a guaranteed counter that gives 10 souls and a giant shield. Like, Estelle is really safe, but she does have counterplay though, but she is definitely a complete nuisance. Very strong mitigation option. But she does have a bit of counterplay with anti-counter attacks, photogenic, debuffs, etc. I'm sure she has a self-cleanse, but the counterplay is just hitting her after debuffing her. Because she only gets her self-cleanse when an ally takes damage, not her. But yeah, a solid unit, really good knight. People go counter, but protection set is also really good, especially for protecting your Tori and Celine, etc. So yeah, really solid unit. Then we have Arbiter Vildred, who is he's actually pretty decent right now. He does way more damage than he used to. Like he does 60% more damage to light units. He had an increase of base damage. He has more evasion, so you can do a lot of toxic stuff with him. He's a solid unit. Although he's kind of weak to like the meta DPS right now, but he's very good if you're playing aggressive. But yeah, solid unit. Then we have Sigret. Sigret is still really annoying. She is a big friend of Aruna. Like when you see someone play Photo Thief with Aruna, they will often play Sigret. So like to stop you from picking counterattack units, right? Because counterattack units are weak to Sigret's fear. So yeah, naturally Sigret is pretty good because yeah, she stops counterattacks. Like usually in a draft you'll have like Aruna, Yulha, Celine, and then like you can play Sigret to stop the counterattackers. So yeah, and then her dual attack S2 is really strong too for the Photo Thieves. They all synergize with it. Very solid debuffer support unit, especially for Photo Thieves, and yeah. And we have Salome. Salome is really strong. Her only weakness is getting cleaved though. But I guess that's natural for a unit who doesn't have like a defensive passive. She's particularly good with revivers. She's good because like, you know, you can clone your DPS, do a bunch of damage. You can clone your openers. Like you can like Iseria S3 twice. She's very flexible, very strong. She's also debuff resistant because you can just play Sweet Miracle and break out of debuffs while cloning them and debuffing them back. She's really good. Very solid unit. Very toxic. Like her S2 is also a really low cooldown. Like the cooldown is lower than Ruele S3, and also you're 300 speed too, so you're like a 300 speed Ruele with a lower cooldown, so she's pretty toxic. But yeah, solid unit. Then we have Belian. Belian is only here because Oria's Belian is on the rise, because Oria's Belian plus Ludwig is very strong right now. Give it a try. And yeah, that's pretty much it. But Belian also counters units like Celine, Frieren, Tori to some extent. So yeah, she's pretty solid because of Ludwig. And she also counters a lot of meta stuff. You know, Setsuka. Setsuka is always good. She's the RNG machine that can win you games for no reason. There's not much to say. Arowell is really solid for mitigation. Escort got buffed, and she has a lot of ER. She can also hold Adamant Shield for extra mitigation, which is super nice. And then for the last two in the S tier, we have Zio and Iseria. So Zio on 3, Iseria on 3. These are the best cleave archetypes right now. I'm gonna mention them because like people always ask where the cleave units are, and here they are. But I'm only gonna put like the main units in, right? Like Zio cleave is a thing, Iseria cleave is a thing. And Zio cleave is pretty strong right now, at least up until Emperor, but it's quite harder in Legend. And Iseria cleave is always strong as long as you can outspeed them. Like Zio has a lot of powerful bridges. He always goes first. And Iseria is Iseria. Anti-revive, AoE defense break. She is the ultimate cleave opener. The only downside is if you're not fast, you can forget about playing her. But yeah, that is all for S tier. And then I'm actually going to cut it here because these units are very niche, and they I'll probably talk about them later or in comments or later in like drafting videos, but these units are very niche, and I don't know. They're super niche. They're not really worth talking about. I think only talking about the OPs really matters because like these are the units that shape the season, and these are just like for fun units you pick with them. But yeah, I'll probably talk about these more in my future drafting videos because a lot of these appear as like later picks. And I'll explain why they're used. But yeah, thank you for watching. Hopefully that was helpful. I'll see you guys next time.